you had to give advice for a new agent who feels like they haven't found their home, their system, they're not getting support at home, they're lacking confidence, and they're struggling to consistently and confidently get up and go to work and make sales, what advice would you give to that person listening today?
So I would document everything. I think that's very important to write everything down, because that's also an energy. You're giving energy to that. Everyone has self-doubt. All of us do.
Yes.
I had a lot of self-doubt. I started my insurance journey at age 34. I thought I didn't have any more mojo. I was like, I am so old. And now that I look back, I was like, I was so young.
True.
So
average insurance agent's 59.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that.
So you're doing okay.
Oh, I'm doing great. But I would document everything. So if you have a limiting belief, or you're saying, I'm not going to do well because I don't have support, or maybe I'm not going to do well because maybe I'm not worthy. Write down why you think that. Say, I think this way, write it down, and then write the truths to that. Always go back to the truth.
What is up? Welcome back to the CA Power Player Podcast. I'm your host, Cody Askins. Today's special guest is in the studio. You guys know I love in-studio guests. Please welcome from San Antonio, Texas. From bodybuilding to a 500K earner, which she did not want online, so just act like I didn't say it. Please welcome Priscilla Moreno.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be here.
It is exciting. I am excited to have you. I love your energy, super positive. We've hung out all day today, which has been amazing. What's it been like hanging out here?
The day has gone by so fast. Crazy. Because when you're having fun, we have a phrase in my office that winning is more fun than fun is fun.
Yes. Oh my God.
So that's what today has felt like.
I so agree with that. I heard somebody else say it today. I can't remember who said it, but I absolutely agree with that so much. Simply because if you think about it, like, you can have fun, but fun's going to get old if you're losing, right? Especially if you're competitive. You know, I love that you say that. That's cool. Yeah. We talk about your team. Tell us before we backpedal through your story and bodybuilding and injuries and Dillard's and all this other stuff. Yeah. Talk about your life today. Like, who is Priscilla today before we rewind?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. I think Priscilla today is super grateful for everything that she's had to overcome. Cool. We were talking about this earlier, we're all faced with adversity. And I do everything I can to sometimes take the harder road, because that's where the most growth happens. Peaks and valleys. I think a lot of us look forward to the peaks, but a lot of us that have been in the valley also look forward to those, because the growth and the takeaways that come from it.
Yes, 100%. Yes. And when you say grateful, you even talked about being grateful and how you're writing down what you're grateful for. And you even led with that right out of the gate, right? For those that don't understand that, or they don't focus on that, or they don't take time to figure out what they're grateful for, why is that an area of focus for you?
I think I've let a lot of life go by in certain things. I think it's I like to say, must be present to win, which means present here, our conversation here, present in your life with your family, with your friends. It's important to be present.
Hard to do though.
It is very hard to do. So that phrase present to win resonates different with me now. And I think if certain aspects in my life when I wasn't so grateful and I kept saying, like, I wish I had this, I didn't enjoy the moments as much as I could. And then when I look back, I was like, I lost that moment. Wow. And so I think that's why gratitude is so important. And it's also, one of my business partners explains it very well. It's also, if you have kids, or anybody in your life, nieces or nephews, I have 2 nieces and 2 nephews that are my life. If you give them a lot and they never show gratitude, you're going to be less likely to give them more. Yeah. So that's how I feel with the universe. If I'm not grateful, why am I going to receive more? Because I'm not open to it yet.
Yes. Yeah. My wife always talks about me being more present because I'm on my phone a lot. So I can relate to that.
I try. That's something I'm working on.
Yeah. You also mentioned like being more present in general, family, friends, etc. Is that why more people should give the insurance industry a look? Because of, when you think about it, you're like an entrepreneur, business owner. Oh, that sounds terrible. I got to work my butt off and 12 hours a day and all this stuff, and like screw holidays, all this sort of stuff. And you think about it, it's like, yeah, but you do it so that you don't have to do that forever.
Right.
Is that fair? What's your estimation on like how valuable this can be as a career to actually be present more?
That is absolutely fair. The reason why I think is so valuable is because we were talking about holidays earlier. You can create your own holidays, you know?
True.
And you can decide when you help clients. Clients are always going to need your help, but you can be structured on your schedule and say like, hey, maybe I'll take a client out for a holiday.
Yeah.
And that's what creates so much freedom. You're not, for lack of better words, like groomed to how we were raised of having to work a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
We can create our own schedule, and then we can create our own life.
True. Yeah. I was actually kind of stirring up some controversy yesterday on Labor Day online in regards to a holiday, just because you're right. Like if we want to have a Labor Day, we can whenever the freak we want, you know, but it's when we just don't want to labor, I guess. But I find that to be a weird holiday that we're like celebrating people doing what they're supposed to do and working. Tell me I'm wrong.
I can't tell you you're wrong because I agree with you. I think that's also interesting for me because you work so hard, and I've worked for corporate America, and I enjoyed it. I learned a lot from it. I'm grateful for it because
you enjoyed the holidays then, though, right?
Well, I worked retail, so I didn't get holidays.
Never mind. No, you did not.
Yeah. So,
then you hated them. Yeah. Or did you get time and a half?
No, I didn't get time and a half.
There you really
yeah, I usually didn't, but no, I actually really liked them because, like you use Christmas as an example. I used to love helping people shop for people they loved.
That's
so
cool.
I was like their personal shopper. But so again, there was a lot of things that I enjoyed and got me to where I'm at today. Cool. And I did work, I worked in healthcare administration where I was 9 to 5. And I remember working so hard. I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot wait to have Labor Day off, or I cannot wait to have 4th of July off. Where I'm like, I feel like there's more to life than that. We shouldn't have to like work, like be so miserable. Like had so much misery working there. So, it just wasn't for me. And then here you go, you have a holiday, you know?
Correct.
And so if you love what you do, every day feels like a vacation.
Yeah. Do you know what would defeat the whole purpose of Labor Day is if they started celebrating it on a Sunday or a Saturday. But people still work on those days, you know? All right, we're going to move on, okay? Because I'm sitting here hanging out talking about Labor Day. Some of you guys, I'm curious though, in comments, let me know if you're like, dude, I get what you're saying, or you're like, I totally disagree. I only want to spend time with friends and family, and I don't want to work, which is also okay because good news is you get one life and you can spend it however the freak you want, okay? So let's back up to who was Priscilla growing up, how, like, your career, maybe college, you eventually got into bodybuilding, eventually got injured. Like, let's talk through the whole progression of you and your life.
Oh gosh, it's so long. I'm like, where do we start?
Well, you're not that old, okay? You're only a few years older than me, all right? You're not that old yet.
I'll start like going into like how I got into insurance. I think that's probably a good story. Because I was district manager for Dillard's. I worked a lot of retail in my life. I've been in all types of management and different parts of that. And I loved a lot of it. I loved most of it. And then a big moment for me was I got laid off over a 15-minute phone call in 2009. So 2008 happened, and then and I was like the last man standing, and well, there was like 3 of us, and I worked for them for 7 years. And then over that 15-minute phone call, no severance or anything. They said, we'll give you 2 weeks of vacation, and then that's it. You no longer work here. So that helped me realize that I needed to work on myself a lot, in addition to, if I was going to continue to work for someone, always work on myself.
How long did you work there?
7 years.
Okay. At what point do you deserve severance or not deserve severance?
Ooh, that's a hot topic.
It is a very hot topic.
I don't know how to answer that because
I don't either. I know if someone's been there freaking 40 years, like, do something. Goodness gracious. 20, 10, maybe 7. I don't know.
Yeah. I definitely felt like I didn't deserve 0 severance in my personal journey.
Would you have rather them said, hey, you don't get any vacation, but you get the 2 weeks vacation and money?
No.
Okay.
I would have rather felt more appreciated and actually had somebody.
Or both.
Right. Or maybe both.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. But I needed that to happen in my life. As hard as it was, I needed that to happen.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
And when we're in the moment, we can hardly recognize that, like, this is actually a blessing. Because in the moment we're like pissed off. And we're like, I can't believe somebody doing this. And what the freak's going on? And how are they doing this? How do they get away with this? And then later you look back now. How long ago was that?
This was in 2009.
Yeah. So 14 years ago. And you're like, I'm so glad that happened. It's funny how that works. All right. Keep going.
Yeah, it is funny how it works. So then I went into, I still worked retail. Then I went to work in jewelry for a little while.
Okay.
So I sold like engagement rings and Rolex, and
I would have probably spent more on my engagement ring if you'd have been my sales rep for sure. She can sell some freaking health insurance. I'm telling you. Okay.
I don't know, but maybe I did very much enjoy selling them.
That's cool.
It was a lot of fun to be part of those moments for sure. So, and then I liked all of the growth, and even then it wasn't so e-commerce driven. I wish back then I would have invested into Amazon, but because it wasn't so e-commerce driven, but slowly going into, and then I worked for Chico's Women's Apparel. I was in management there. That's what got me to, from San Antonio. Because anytime you work retail, if you do well, they want you in a bigger city. So in Texas, if you're San Antonio, Austin area, they try to get you to Houston or Dallas. And so I always said no. And then at this point in my life, it was just perfect timing, and I was like, yeah, let's go. I'll go to Houston. So awesome. So I worked for Chico's for 4 years in Houston, and then at that point, so this is like 2014 ish. So at that point it started getting very e-commerce heavy. And I was like, where's my growth? And people were getting laid off and not getting promoted.
Got it.
So and I was slowly working. That's when I got introduced to CrossFit. And so I was working on myself. Okay. And then CrossFit led me into some bodybuilding. So my background's more like Olympic lifting and CrossFit.
Yeah, what's your opinion on CrossFit? Because that's a hot topic too.
That is a hot topic.
I don't know why though, because either way, like not working out or doing CrossFit, freaking CrossFit all day.
Right. No, absolutely. People say that it's bad for your joints, which I don't know because there's so many different movements. I don't know which movement they're referring to that's bad for your joints.
The pull-ups look a little wacky.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but it's also bad on your joints not to do movement.
Yeah. So. What do they call the pull-ups? Is a muscle up or that's something different?
That's something different. That's when you're over the bar.
Oh yeah, that looks crazy too. Yeah. How long did you do CrossFit?
I still do CrossFit. Okay, good. I just had a knee injury, and that'll be a good point. I just had a knee injury, and I'm still able to do CrossFit because you're able to tailor it to you. You don't have to follow the exact recipe that that's written on the workout. You can say, you know what, I'm going to do where I'm at.
I love that.
So,
and then you've been into Olympic lifting. Talk about that. How do you end up doing Olympic lifting?
A lot of CrossFitters do Olympic lifting. Like it's it's part of a lot of their workouts. And then I think a lot of people that lift can agree, like lifting's way more fun than cardio. That might be
I wouldn't have used to have agreed. If we're talking about upper body, I can agree. If we're talking about legs, just give me cardio.
Oh, I think every female probably that's listening can agree that legs are better than upper body, but
probably right. My wife can. Yeah. She loves it. She can outlift me. She probably out squat me.
Yeah. Squatting's fun. Squatting's kind of new to me right now with I had a knee injury, but it's kind of new.
You showed me the video. Yeah. It was a power clean.
A power clean.
You guys don't want to see the video. Yeah. Okay.
You don't want to see the video. Do y'all want to see the video?
Maybe you do. If you do, we'll either have her add a link to the video in the comments, or you can DM her on Instagram. How about that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Which I actually just tagged you on Instagram, right as we sat down. Priscilla. Priscilla _ the health agent. Priscilla Moreno. It. Boom. There's her Instagram. I don't know if it'll actually be able to zoom in or show that or not, but yeah, cool. All right, so then you get into Olympic lifting. I keep interrupting you, but I'm like trying to. Dylan's like, dude, you need to be more like stop asking so many questions all the time and like give your opinion sometimes. I'm like, I'm gonna start doing that more. What do you guys think about that? When you listen to this later, be like, you know what? I like this a little bit more. Yes, Dylan's right. Or shut up, Cody. Just ask Priscilla questions.
For Olympic lifting, I think everybody should lift, especially women, because we get so caught up on how our bodies look. If you start to learn how powerful your body is and what it's capable of, that's where a lot of confidence comes in.
Amen.
So even if you're like, you know what, I kind of don't like how this fits right now, but my body's really freaking powerful, it kind of changes the narrative a little bit. I think that's really important.
Yes. Well, and too, it makes it tough because everybody's always looking at the scale. It's like, dude, if you're muscular and you got more muscle, you are going to weigh more. You know, muscle weighs more. And so it's like, yeah, it's interesting about that too, because it's like, if that's the case, the scale becomes less important too. It's like, okay, I just want to be happy with myself. I don't want to be strong and all that.
Right.
And have some muscle.
Oh, absolutely. That's absolutely a benefit. But I think strong and female belong together.
Yeah, I agree with that. I love that. So then you did that, and then you did that up until you got injured?
I still did it a little bit after I got injured too. And I'm 3 months or 4 months. I'm close to 4 months post-op. And I'm currently getting my strength back and practicing. And
that's awesome.
Because I'm not going to be the person that just gives up. And I'm not going to be the person that ever says, I can't do something because I have a bad whatever. I'm going to continue to work and get stronger.
Will you ever power clean again? And you tore your MCL? ACL.
I had a partial MCL and then small meniscus tear.
Crazy. Some of you guys like, dude, I would never power clean again.
I did say that initially.
I don't blame you initially. But I love that. Dude. Initially, you're like, dude, I'm not doing that. And then you come back and you're like, yeah, you know what? I am going to do that. I love that. I think that's great.
I've learned a lot. I think it's important to...
Did you make a mistake or it just happened?
Form for sure, but it was kind of a freak thing. I stepped out too wide on my right leg and then it just kind of buckled in.
I saw the video. Now you're making me relive it. Brutal, guys. You don't want to see it. I'm telling you. You do not want to see the video.
No, I think they want to see it.
Maybe you do. Gosh, maybe you guys are crazy. Okay. Were you in insurance yet when you got hurt?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Because you've been in insurance. You just got 4 months ago. And you have been in insurance for how long?
I'm in my 5th year.
Fifth year. Okay. And you've went from not a lot of money when you first started insurance.
Yeah, my checking account was overdrawn.
So that's backwards. Yeah. For those who don't know what overdrawn means.
Negative, yeah.
Negative to very positive. I would guess.
Yeah.
Should she share what's in her bank account? No, just kidding. But you are making some significant money now. I led with that early. Did you ever dream? This is a cool question. Flashback to 14 years old. Did you think this would be your life?
100% no.
100% no?
Yeah, 100% no.
Okay, 24. Did you think this would be your life? 5 years ago?
No.
4 years ago?
Maybe.
Getting there.
3 years ago, absolutely.
Yeah, but you started tasting it a little bit. You know, like I always do this thing called the possibility index where this controls how far we go. And I talk about how success in insurance is invisible. Because you're not in it, you're not part of it. Then the goal is to go from invisible to impossible.
Right.
Like it's not invisible because I'm in it. Other people are making it, but it seems impossible to me.
Right.
I can't be Priscilla Moreno. Right. Some of you are gonna say that today. You're wrong.
Yeah.
Then you go from
absolutely wrong.
Then you go from impossible to possible. It's like, oh, I made my first $2,000. It's possible. I could make $500,000. It's possible. Then you move from possible, and it's all here. Move from possible to probable, where it's likely. Then to actual, right? But actually being like you'll be, how many more years till you're a 7-figure earner, you think?
I'm not going to sell. I'm always going to bet on me now. I didn't used to bet on me. And I'm not going to sell myself short. So I'm going to say I could accomplish it in a year if I wanted to.
That's awesome. I love that. Yeah. And what would be the difference between that? I'm trying to extrapolate this for our audience listening of like doubling an income inside of a year if you really wanted to, as an example. Like what would be how would you pull that off? Like you had to talk it out loud. How would you get there?
So that would make me a millionaire, right? Because I'm doubling your income. And I always say it's not just about the money, right? Because a lot of people are like, I would buy a new car, I would buy a new house, or I would do all of these things.
You wouldn't.
I probably wouldn't.
You may upgrade a smidge, but we talked earlier. It's not about the houses and the cars for you.
Right. That's very accurate for me. It's just not. I grew up. My dad owned a collision center growing up, so I saw a lot of cars. I saw a lot of them wrecked, fancy or not fancy. So for me, it's who you become to be a millionaire, because that you cannot take away. And if I can make 1 million, because I've become a different person, then the second million is a lot easier to do.
Yeah.
And then it's just the impact I can make and the amount that I can give back to my community.
True.
Because at that point, I'm a different person. I can pour more in.
If you had to go back and start over 5 years ago, 4.5 years ago, would you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I used to say no because I used to say you couldn't pay me enough to start over. But no, absolutely.
You've had a pretty great journey though, right?
Yeah.
But you would be farther.
I would be farther.
Way farther
I would be
along.
farther, 100%.
Yeah.
But I would have also enjoyed a lot of the small moments, a lot of the coffees that I would have, a lot of the networking. I remember some of the networking I was thinking like, okay, how am I going to follow up with these people? How am I going to add them on social media? What email am I going to send them? And I wasn't even listening to the conversation. So I would have absolutely been more present and been more grateful to be there.
It's hard to listen sometimes too when you're like in your head thinking about stuff and trying to pay attention. And the reason I ask that question is most people's drive comes from a fear of loss in a lot of cases. It's not necessarily mine, maybe becoming mine a little bit more now, the bigger we get, but most time it's a fear of loss. And I would say you don't fear losing it because you're like, make me start over. You know what I mean? Where most people have been like, no, I don't want to go back through that freaking crazy 4 or 5 years I had to go through, right?
Well, the thing is, so I don't fear losing it. I definitely don't, because I know what it feels like to be there. I know what it feels like to have a overdrawn bank account. And so if you told me, you're like, Priscilla, I'm going to take, which is a fair amount, I'm going to take out all of the money in your bank account and you're going to be overdrawn today. I'm a different person than I was 5 years ago. I would know how to make that positive a lot quicker. So
That'll be a documentary. You should do that. Should she do that?
So that's what I mean about becoming a different person.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's cool. What advice would you give? We'll ask a few more questions and we'll wrap up. This has been phenomenal, by the way. You guys enjoyed this, man. I've loved this. If you had to give advice for a new agent who feels like they haven't found their home, their system, they're not getting support at home, they're lacking confidence, and they're struggling to consistently and confidently get up and go to work and make sales, what advice would you give to that person listening today?
So I would document everything. I think that's very important to write everything down because that's also an energy. You're giving energy to that. Everyone has self-doubt. All of us do.
Yes.
I had a lot of self-doubt. I started my insurance journey at age 34. I thought I didn't have any more mojo. I was like, I am so old. And now that I look back, I was like, I was so young.
True.
So
average insurance agent's 59.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that.
So you're doing okay.
Oh, I'm doing great. But I would document everything. So if you have a limiting belief or you're saying, I'm not going to do well because I don't have support, or maybe I'm not going to do well because maybe I'm not worthy, write down why you think that. Say, I think this way, write it down, and then write the truths to that. Always go back to the truth, because those are just lies that you're feeding yourself. And if you write down the truths, it'll make your journey a lot easier. And then write down your activity. So, I made this amount of phone calls and I had this amount of connections. Yeah. And then what you were grateful for in that phone call. So even if you didn't make a sale, because sales are just the outcome, what did I take away from that phone call? That I just made myself stronger. My skill set is stronger, but I enjoyed that conversation I had with somebody. I can still help them without getting a sale out of it. And then going back at the end of the day and then writing down what you've accomplished.
So good. That's such good advice. I'm going to read something really quick before we end. Great answer, by the way. Hey, Cody, my name is Ruth. I won't give her last name. I just got this text, 2:34, 1 minute ago. I am going to be producing your upcoming Fox Business interview with Tom Hegna, taping on October 2nd. Awesome. I just sent you an email with some additional info, like so a brief call with you, let me know when you're available, which is so freaking cool. So my buddy Tom Hegna, huge big time guy in the space, asked me he's got a Fox Business, asked him to do a show, probably on retirement stuff. He's a genius. And he asked me to be on his first show.
Wow, that's incredible.
Which is so cool. So I'm going to New York to the Fox Business headquarters.
Awesome.
To do that. So
wow.
I may need to bring, I would bring Dylan, but he's probably literally going to be like having his first kid, like literally that moment, or at least his wife. At least his wife.
Just bring the kid with you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Priscilla, you're amazing. It's been a blast having you here today.
Oh, it's been amazing for me too. You're
so good on camera. I don't know what you guys think, but I think Priscilla needs to get on camera and social a lot freaking more. If they want to reach out to you, Should they use Instagram or should they do anything else?
Instagram, Facebook. You can also Google me because I pay money for you to be able to find me. So you can go to Priscilla Moreno, the health agent, and Google me, and you can text me.
Cool.
I will respond to all my text messages.
Let's go. Now that's a little scavenger hunt. That's good. Don't sound like it's hard to find, but you got to do a little work. Okay. You're awesome. Thanks for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. Appreciate you. Thank you for hanging out and listening to the Power Player Podcast. If you love this episode, do a few things. Let Priscilla know in comments below how much you enjoyed her advice. And secondarily, share this out to somebody else that needs to hear this message. Have an amazing day. See you on the next episode. Adios. Hey, if you enjoyed this, I got another one you're going to love. It's right there. Click on it. See you in there. I'm so excited for today's CA Power Player Podcast. I'm your host, Cody Askins. We got a special guest. He is back on the channel talking about how to sell life insurance from home. Here's what I love about this person. Okay, I'm telling you, this will be one of the best.